Hey guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
And we are here to shoot the flames for the last time in 2021.
That's right. This is December's Shooting the Flames. We're ready to kick off the holiday spirit.
That's right.
An evil spirit.
An extravaganza. And also, I think we're ready to kick 2021 right out the door.
That's
I feel
right.
like we keep saying that more often these years.
That's right. Ever since 2020.
Can we just have a perfect year for once?
Some people say 2021 is worse than 2020. I disagree.
I disagree. But not good. I'll be celebrating at the end of it. But we do have some things to celebrate this month.
That's right. We hit 50,000 downloads. That's a milestone for us.
That's right. So we have you listeners to thank for that. Did you think that we'd ever reach that when we started this podcast?
I don't know. 50,000, I mean, you could think that's a lot. You could think that's a little bit. But what that kind of equals out to is just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hours listened.
Well, I think it's safe to say that we are not ending our podcast. We're just getting started, really.
Yeah.
We have a lot of stuff planned, for years to come. So.
We do. We actually have a spreadsheet.
That's right. Literally, for years. So, before you know it, we might be talking about reaching 100,000 downloads.
Oh my goodness.
But on a more somber note, we would like to take a moment to give a special shout out to one of our patrons, Charlotte, and sort of recognize that she's going through sort of a rough time right now.
That's right. Charlotte reached out to us. She's had a personal tragedy in her life, and we'd really like to dedicate this episode to you, Charlotte. So we'd like to thank you for all your years of listening to us, and we're happy that we can give even a small moment, even just a millisecond of comfort and relief to you, or to really anyone else that's going through a hard time right now. So Charlotte, this one's for you.
Yeah. We have a jam-packed episode. There's lots of comments, reviews, and finally some news this month. So why don't we jump right into it?
That's right. So first up, we've got a review from McGuirk-Klinetobe. I believe this is one of our favesies. Favesies. God, I promise never to say that again.
No one to make you from now on.
Yeah, I believe it's Kimberly, right?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite podcasts, the best word podcast in my humble opinion, and one of my favorites. I never miss an episode.
Well, thank you, McGuirk-Klinetobe. We also got a review from ProFlautist1, which is a patron as well. I think this is Dr. Joe. And he left us a review titled Film Flamin' Fun. He says, the Film Flamers are an awesome duo. They bring a nice bit of comedy to their serious deep dive discussions of horror and horror adjacent films, all while interacting with their listeners. The Film Flamers always take it deep. They leave no stone unturned. In their deep dives of horror films, they provide historical context along with their own social commentary, which is sometimes serious, sometimes hilarious, oftentimes both. This is a must-hear podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Joe.
ProFlautist.
We always take it deep. We try.
Yeah, I mean, I really do.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we go deeper than others. I mean, we're literally about to talk about comments from a shallow dive. So.
That's right. That we called a shallow dive ourselves. But hey, must hear though. We really appreciate all the reviews that come in. They help people find our podcast. So you can leave us these on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Just leave us a 5-star rating and why you like us, and we'll read that on the next Shooting the Flames.
That's right. On to our comments. We've got a lot of comments from our deep dive into The Exorcist.
A lot.
Brandon over on Patreon said, great take on a classic. I do agree that this should really have ended here in terms of movies. However, the 2016 series was a great surprise. You're lured into the series thinking that this is another family being torn apart by possession before the rug is torn out from under you when it's revealed that this is an older Reagan's family. Geena Davis, an undervalued gem, is fantastic and does a great job continuing the story from the first movie. But, like the Exorcist movie, the series should have ended there. Season 2 was a dud.
I have seen the first 2 episodes of this because when it was released on Fox or whatever channel it was on, I had a DVR at that point. And so I DVR'd every single episode, and it sat on my DVR for over a year before I started watching it. I watched the first 2 episodes and I gave up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it seemed good, but like I said before, I love Geena Davis, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of have a hard time with episodic things, especially if you have to wait weeks. But like I said, I had it on my DVR. I could have easily watched it. I don't know why I didn't. I mean, I do want to go back and watch it. I've heard good things.
Yeah, our list is getting just longer and longer and longer. The things are slipping through our fingers.
That's right. Thank God we have planned our podcast to go on forever so we can watch all these things.
And perhaps we should start including more TV. But of course, that's harder to do because it's, 2 hours of prep is different than 12 to 24 hours of prep.
That's right.
Of watching at least, because there's more that we do on top of that, including research and, of course, editing and notes and prep and everything else. So
we could do it. You never know. Never say never.
That's right.
But
we
Kimberly,
do it for the Mike Flanagan stuff.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while.
We do.
We still haven't come back and done the latest.
Midnight Mass.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about that eventually. Yeah, we have things we need to add to the docket.
At the very least, we'll talk about it in our hot takes, but I'd have to rewatch the whole thing, I think, at this point to really talk about it in depth.
And I wouldn't mind doing that.
No, me either.
Kimberly followed up on that comment about the Exorcist series on Patreon, and she said, I started the series and gave up about 3/4 of the way through. The only thing that kept me going to that point was the hot Latin priest.
Nice.
I really appreciate that comment, Kimberly, because he was kind of hot. I do remember that vividly.
Bennet over on Patreon said, there's a lot to notice in this film on repeat viewings, but I never noticed how Pazuzu has such a big dick and balls. Wowza. And he's like the snake penis, right? It's
yeah.
The snake penis. And in the prequels, it's a double snake penis. So, go big or go home.
I mean, really, Pazuzu. I didn't really notice either, though, until like a couple viewings ago. My big takeaway from that comment is that I'm going to start saying wowza more often. I feel like that's an underused expression.
It is.
Wowza. At BattleBurrito over on Twitter said, great episode. Literally laughed out loud a few times.
Good.
I don't know if we were intentionally being funny in that episode, were we?
We never are. It's like the funniest times we're actually not trying to be. We were told like left and right that some of the Exorcist stuff was some of the best and most funny stuff we've had out in a while for some reason. So
unintentionally.
We'll just keep talking about stuff we kind of like.
Yeah. Movies that we kind of like that have...
we actually love The Exorcist.
We do.
Yeah.
The big cock and balls in that statue is just a bonus point.
At Eats a Mario said, I'm surprised you didn't call the Golden Globes the Golden Dirty Pillows.
That's a fucking missed opportunity. Thank you, Eats a Mario. We're going to call them that from now on.
That's right.
At HexyWitch666 said, hey guys, I'm from the UK and just discovered your podcast on Spotify. Can't stop laughing at the Carrie episode. Glad you covered The Exorcist. It's one of my fave movies. Have a great day.
Well, you too. And actually, you can go to our store now because we have a Cassie t-shirt just for you.
It's awesome. Yes. Head over to thefilmflamers.com, click on visit our store, and you can get your very own Cassie t-shirt.
We're all sorry about this t-shirt, Cassie. Fembot18 over on Instagram said, this was one of your best episodes yet, and I've been listening for years. Love you guys. Keep on flaming.
We will.
Thank you.
I flame stronger every day. And thank you for that. I mean, like, from someone who's been listening for years, like, saying that's your best episode. I mean...
Yeah. In fact, my husband, Matt, said it was one of our best episodes, and he couldn't really put a pin on why.
I liked it. I kind of enjoyed having all the conversations about the Exorcist movies. Yeah. So I think a lot of it has to do with just being
maybe
able to talk.
If we cover things we like, then... No. Is that the secret sauce?
What a strange concept. Well, we didn't really like The Exorcist 2, but I liked that episode.
Me too. Yeah. Doesn't really track.
Yeah, well. Hex Massacre over on Instagram said, y'all made my heart hurt when you said The Guardian was a stinker. And that's when we were talking about some of William Friedkin's other horror movies. I mean, that's not to say that I wouldn't watch it at any given moment. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not the best movie, but it's fun. I mean, it's about like some nanny who's trying to sacrifice a baby she's watching to a tree or something.
Oh,
I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's not good.
Well, you have to try.
Yeah, you have to care. Come on, you stupid movie.
Dr. Joe over on Patreon said, thank you again for another great episode. The Exorcist is the fave horror film above all others for me and my family. It's a must watch for family gatherings. It's one my older brother introduced to me when I was really young, probably 5 or 6 years old. Wow. I've always loved this film, the general fear and feeling of helplessness and then being saved. There are a few films that have achieved pure visceral horror, but The Exorcist is one. I think there's even a scene where Father Merrin talks about this. The reason an innocent child is possessed is to make us question our faith. It's meant to be ugly. It's meant to make us question, and ultimately it's meant to make us renew our faith. Personally, I think that's a shitty way to get followers, but then again, I'm a lapsed Catholic. As you both mentioned, the acting in this film is phenomenal. Ellen Burstyn gives me chills in this movie. And that moment when the doctors rush in and she screams, "No!" It's so guttural and heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish that I could be a part of your family, actually, if like a must-watch for family gatherings is The Exorcist.
For real.
I'm a little fucking jealous, Dr. Joe. My family gets together and want to watch like To Kill a Mockingbird, which is equally good, you know, but like sad. We also got a voicemail about our Exorcist episode from Kimberly.
Hey guys, it's Kimberly. The Exorcist is one of the very few horror movies that still legitimately scares the shit out of me. And I made the mistake of listening to this episode while doing laundry in my 123-year-old basement. Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go do laundry now. Bye.
122-year-old basement.
I kind of like to tour that.
That sounds like maybe a nook we can visit.
I know. It sounds like an on-location podcast recording area, right? Also, I'm really happy that someone got scared listening to one of our episodes. Like, I want to know what scared you.
Yeah, what did scare you? Was it the synopsis or like some of the other spooky things, like the clips that we had in part of the discussion? I'd love to know. I never thought anyone would be actually scared by our discussion of the horror movies, but I guess it's possible, yeah. Especially if you're in a 122-year-old basement.
Jesus Christ. I mean, like...
But there's a sound in your voicemail that sounds kind of like Pazuzu.
Maybe you should get out of the house.
So, yeah. Let us know what that was and if you're still alive.
God, we hope so, because we love your voicemails. You know, I actually got a little scared listening to that episode because you played that extended clip, you know, the "Let Jesus fuck you" moment.
Yeah.
And like, even just listening to it, not even watching anything, like it's still frightening just to hear. So I get it. Although,
yeah, and it can bring back all your PTSD from watching the film too, just hearing some of the clips.
I'm still happy that we scared someone with an episode, though. That makes
and all
me
the
happy.
music that we played.
Now we have some comments from our shallow dive into The Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Nikki over on Patreon said, "We watched this last night. I co-sign on everything you said. I could pick out all the things y'all were going to mention while I was watching. Weird glass office, Call Me By Your Dream Name, how good Linda Blair looked, the apartment patio of Beauty and Death, Kokomo. So basically, I've listened to enough episodes that the Film Flamers have become my internal Waldorf and Statler, so that's wonderful. Oh, and a young James Earl Jones made me happy. Talk about screen presence."
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Makes us so happy that we're your internal Waldorf and Statler. And of course, for anyone that doesn't know, those are the two old men Muppets,
right,
that are just critiquing everything from like the
balcony
seats.
Yeah,
the theater.
I will say that when I read this comment, I cannot hear the song "Call Me By Your Name" anymore because I've just been running around going, "Call me by your dream name and exercise me in private." It's ruined.
Call me by my dream name.
Love it.
At BattleBurrito said, "Looking back, I'm pretty sure that the psychologist's office was totally an opium den."
And I think I replied back and said, "Another good reason to visit."
I'd record my podcast there.
Sure, with opium. So we got a comment from Dr. Joe over on Patreon. He said, loved your Exorcist 2 episode. You had me cracking up with the commentary. That said, I totally agree with Chris's comments on why the movie is such a bomb. I think the movie does tell a decent story, but it feels like that story is being told by someone who's never heard a story or read a book for that matter.
Insert shade sound effect here.
Right?
There's a lot of shade about that movie, especially from Friedkin.
Yeah. Oh my God, I loved that quote.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously I agree with myself and you for agreeing with me.
I mean, I get it too. I mean, like I said in that episode, I think like the end product is all bad, really, but it's just a really sum of bad parts.
Yeah, I think the plan was there. They just executed, it's like handing off blueprints to the Taj Mahal and then someone building a fucking grass hut, you know?
And with the right amount of drugs, I might think that grass hut is the Taj Mahal. I really think that explains everything about this rewatch of The Exorcist 2 for me.
From our deep dive into Exorcist 3, Dr. Joe from Patreon said, this movie has totally moved me and been a big deal in my horror movie development. I think there's a full point in this movie for Brad Dourif. It's meant to portray how evil and disgusting he is. OM motherfucking G, that nurse death jump scared the hell out of me. For that scene in particular, your analysis may be missing something. This was one of the first movies where surround sound was embedded. So much like the original movie where there's subliminal shit happening, in this movie, THX was super new. And this one was not only well-timed, it was a jump scare that involved all that crazy sound pushing and punching. My brother maintains he still has fingernail scars from me grabbing him so hard when my 9-year-old self freaked out in the theater.
I also freaked out when I saw it the first time, and thankfully nobody was with me, so I didn't have to scar them for life.
Yeah, I mean, it is oddly like stereo during that scene. I noticed that because I just actually watched it again before this yesterday. And because Matt hadn't seen it. And it does go full surround on that Dolby Shock.
It is kind of loud, especially when paired with the quietness of the rest of that moment.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's shocking. So, but I stand by that. That's probably one of the best jump scares like ever. And certainly like the mother of jump scares, possibly.
Yeah. They need to get a new ice machine.
Yeah. Quack. Kara over on Facebook says, 3 is in my top 5 movie list. Brad Dourif rocks. And of course, Ceiling Granny for the win. I do like that Ceiling Granny.
Yeah.
Just like turning her head around and looking.
Yeah. They made her like go super fast. It had everyone else kind of moving around normally. And then they had her moving around super fast. So they had 2 different plates going on. So that was a pretty cool way to do that.
Do you think you would have noticed something like that in real life?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
People have a thing called peripheral vision.
I know. We're like, what the fuck was that? Get down from there, Grandma.
Not again. That's the second time this week. Someone get the broom. Leave me alone.
Call me by your granny name.
So Ashley over on Facebook said, I am so glad you covered this because I had no idea there was a second book written by Blatty. I can't wait to read it.
It's a very good book, Ashley. Go out and pick up a copy and read it because it's amazing. Promise. From our hot take on Halloween Kills, at Matthew T. McHenry said, well, I guess he quoted and said, Muppety Celine Dion looking boy, ... and made several cry laugh emojis.
That Muppety Celine Dion looking boy. One long face.
I am so glad that Muppety Celine Dion looking boy is dead and will not be coming back for Halloween Ends. Oh, it's true though.
From our Shooting the Flames episode in November last month, Hex Massacre from Instagram said, I would temper your expectations for Black Friday. It's a hot mess relying on premise alone. Even Lance doesn't like it, and he's nice to every movie.
So this is Erica, formerly of the Customers Also Watch podcast, and she has a podcast called Unsung Horrors with her co-host Lance. And he is nice to a lot of movies. So if he didn't like it, and I've also seen things online now that it's just not very good. Although I'm still going to watch it.
Yeah, that was a trailer with Bruce Campbell.
And Devon Sawa. Apparently it's less than an hour and a half long. So, I mean, even if it's bad, it's not that long. Right?
Well, I just rewatched The Host, or just Host, I guess, which was like the Zoom meeting horror movie, which I still doubled down on it with a 4-star.
And that's like an hour long movie.
Super good. It's 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Super good.
I mean, I need to watch it again because I didn't really care for it the first time.
Yeah.
From our deep dive into Halloween 2018, Bennet over on Patreon said, I still have only seen the original Halloween from 1978, but based on what I've heard about the sequels, I'm probably okay in that regard. So I can't say for sure whether or not this was the scariest movie of 2018, but I'm going to guess it wasn't. That would have been Kevin Spacey's first unsolicited Christmas Eve YouTube video, Let Me Be Frank. No movie scared me that year as much as getting a news blast saying Kevin Spacey tweeted for the first time in a while. It sent chills down my spine, and the video was even more shocking.
No gay man is safe. Turn away and scream. Run.
Run. You have to try. You have to hide.
Leave me alone. Damn it, it works for everything.
Leave me alone. We may have to like link to that in the fucking show notes now. We'll just like drop that fucking hint everywhere.
From our deep dive into Alien Resurrections earlier this summer, Bennett from Patreon said, "This movie has got to be one of the weirdest combinations of talent in recent memory. Many of the players in front of and behind the camera are great on their own, but not necessarily combined. I also agree that Ron Perlman can be an entertaining character actor, but man, does he get some dreadful dialogue in this lame excuse for a sequel. Whenever I heard him utter lines like, 'Earthman, what a shithole,' or 'must be a chick thing,' I kept wondering how much Joss Whedon got paid to write this drivel." P.S. Chris mentioned how ironic it was that this sequel also looks like a David Fincher film. Funny you say that, because this is not a coincidence. The cinematographer, Darius Kanji, who worked with director Jean-Pierre Jeunet on previous films like Delicatessen, as well as with Fincher on Seven. Touché.
Oh, I guess that explains that, and
they added silver to the film stock, I guess, just like they did with Seven. I didn't catch it was the same fucking cinematographer.
And here I thought that we would never be talking about Alien Resurrection again.
Well, I'm sure it'll come back to haunt us.
Yeah, it's cool. That's a good factoid, though.
Yeah, so. And we love it when you guys go to older episodes, even if it's just from the summer, but years ago, please go back to old deep dives or old, anything, and, let your comments be heard, because we will respond to them just as if they were new episodes. So,
especially if there are fun facts.
Yeah.
We love fun facts.
Yeah.
We have some questions, and the first one is coming from Bennett over on Patreon, and he said, Robert mentioned that many things scare him, including McDonald's commercials. Please elaborate.
Now, usually the anecdote is that you cry at the drop of a hat, and this is the first time I heard that too. I didn't know you got scared, including McDonald's commercials.
I wasn't. I was making a joke, because I do cry at everything, like every fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right? And there was a McDonald's commercial that made me cry many years ago.
Well, I think that made everyone cry. I think the one where he's like handing like the deaf kid or something. Like,
the little blind girl, a menu in Braille. Yeah. I mean, it just like, even now I'm feeling a little choked up. So, but I get scared at everything too. Like, horror movies just scare me in general. They could be the shittiest piece of shit and I would still be scared by it. So I was just making a reference to something that no other listener would know except for Chris. So there's really nothing to elaborate on. Sorry.
Alexis over on Facebook said, "So I've been listening to you guys, and you said if you have ideas, shoot a message. So here goes. Top Final Girls, films that have changed your life or perspective on film, traumatizing movies, Scream, like is Stu dead? Coraline, is it a horror movie? Most unsettling or uncomfortable movies, The Night House, Random Acts of Violence, Color of Outer Space, or I think it's Color Out of Space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hereditary, Scariest Non-Violent Movies, interesting. Behind the Scenes, for like the wildest crazy things cast and crew has done for a film, and movies that get praised but suck."
I don't know that I have a lot of movies that get praised but suck.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good ideas here. Obviously, some of them we actually already have, kind of, nebulous ideas. We have a multi-page spreadsheet with a bunch of top 10s ideas and things like that. But we're not going to do anything unless we're like super passionate about it, or there's like enough content to be super passionate about, to have an opinion past like number 3, 4. You know what I mean?
And there will be some times that we talk about like the most traumatizing movies organically in a conversation. Maybe if we're talking about a movie that happened to have traumatized us, I'm sure it would just come up in conversation that other movies have done.
Now, for a while ago, about 2, maybe 3 years ago, we were doing something on Patreon for like Spotlight on a Scene or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about scenes in horror movies or any movie that was kind of formative for us, right?
Yeah.
And so if you look back in this Patreon history, then there should be at least 5 or 6 of those, I think.
Yeah, and we had some pretty good scenes. Like we talked about movies like The Birds.
Anatomy of a Scene.
Anatomy of a Scene, that's what it was called. Yeah. We haven't done that in a while.
No.
We should bring that back sometime.
Yeah, we've been doing like full movies for Patreon.
Well, if you guys are patrons and, you'd rather have some other random stuff, let us know, please.
Yeah, mayhaps we might send out another poll. Who knows?
Alexis, I will say that I really want to see The Night House, like really bad. It's like one of the movies that came out this year that I was really dying to see in the theater, and I missed. But I'm sure we'll be talking about it on our year-end review in January. So stay tuned for that.
Bennett sent us one of 2 voicemails, so here is the first.
Hello, Tired Queens. This is Bennett calling there. I just wanted to leave a voicemail and ask if you guys happen to have maybe gotten around to watching any of the Chucky TV series at all lately. I'm speaking as someone who used to. I didn't watch any of those movies when I was younger because just seeing Chucky's face on the cover of a video just like scared the shit out of me. So just seeing that alone. So of course I didn't watch them when I was younger, and I've only seen Bride of Chucky out of the movies when I was older. I had an ex-boyfriend who managed to convince me to watch that and was pretty amused by it there. But anyway, I ended up finally getting the courage to watch some of this TV series there, and I have gotten hooked there. So that shows I've come a real long way since I was a kid there, because I was curious about this, knowing that the lead character in this is a gay teenager, or that it features a gay teenager centered, in the story. And so Chucky kind of acting as this kid's kind of like, I don't know, evil guardian angel or something, whatever you want to call it. They're kind of seeking revenge on all of his bullies, at least in the beginning of it there. We'll see where else it goes. That's just really caught my interest at first there. So I'm curious to see where it goes. But anyway, just thought I'd see if you guys have caught any of that and what your thoughts might be. Yeah, sweet dreams.
Yeah, no, I don't think either of us have seen the Chucky TV series, but I've heard really good things.
Yeah.
And so you're not the first person to tell us that. And I really, really need to sit down and check it out.
It's actually kind of really high on my list, right? Because I've only heard good things about it from like the horror community at large on social media, not even just like the queer horror community. But I do hear that it's a very queer inclusive series. And so that does pique my interest, right? I kind of liked when things are on TV, I don't like to watch them episodically. I'd rather wait for it to be completely done, and then I'll watch an entire season. So I know it's reaching its end, if have not already, by the time this episode comes out. So I think we're both really anxious to check it out.
Definitely. And here's that second voicemail.
Hello, Tired Queens. This is Bennett calling again there. I had a suggestion I've been meaning to make for a theme for 1 month, and I don't know if they thought of it or not. I don't think thought about maybe doing a Sharon Stone month someday, and doing deep dives on Basic Instinct and Sliver, some of her earlier hits back then. I know Robert's mentioned those titles there, so I thought those might be maybe in the back of your mind somewhere, but I just thought I'd bring it out there for you to think about. Anyway, just a thought. Have a good night.
Mayhaps a pairing with a nice Halle Berry Catwoman.
Bennett, yes, we have thought about doing a Sharon Stone month, but not really Sharon Stone. So maybe just as a teaser for a future episode, Chris and I have been talking about covering Showgirls and Basic Instinct as two deep dives that month, because they're both directed by Verhoeven. And just because I love that movie, even though it's trash, over on Patreon, we will probably be talking about Sliver that month. Yeah. So, and I have such a hard on to talk about that movie. Come on.
Showgirls.
All of those. I love Sliver.
It's first ice.
You just know. Listeners, you can't see this, but I'll be doing this the whole time. Like putting my hands in front of my face in some dance motion.
Just dance.
It's first ice. So yeah, look forward to that, Bennett, and everybody, really, because that's going to be a really fucking fun month.
Well, unfortunately, we have no new patrons to bring to your attention this month, but mayhaps next month. So tell your friends, tell your family if you enjoy us. Let everyone else know.
That's right. You can head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers and join the family. Check out all of our bonus content. We'll read your name on the next Shooting the Flames. But we have to shout out our patrons who are at the Film Flamer tier or higher over on Patreon, and they are
Ben,
Dr. Joe,
Kimberly,
Lisa,
Penelope,
but especially
Lisa,
Penelope.
Horror news.
So, as you recall, last month we had no news.
Nope.
Of interest, really. So that's changed.
Scorched dearth.
Scorched dearth. Is that like D apostrophe earth?
Scorched earth.
Jesus Christ, it's just been a long day or something. I'm laughing at everything. So first up, two more actors have joined the cast of Netflix's Stephen King adaptation of Mr. Harrigan's Phone.
Which is part of a fuller adaptation of Stephen King's work, right?
I don't know if they're adapting all the stories from that particular set of novellas.
It's one of the stories that they're telling.
Good. I hope so. I mean, because I really, really enjoyed all of those novellas. This one happened to be my favorite in that book. It made me cry. But it's Ryan Murphy doing it, so of course they're probably going to do like everything.
Teaming up, yeah.
But Donald Sutherland is playing Mr. Harrigan in this, and then Jay Martell from It is going to be playing the kid. So this is a really good story. It's kind of about this kid who does like random jobs around the house for this older guy who lives in like his neighborhood, and he gives him his first cell phone, but the old man dies. So he buries the cell phone with it. And every time this kid is having a traumatic event, his phone will ring and it will be Mr. Harrington's number pop up. Right. It's just a really good, very touching story.
I always love seeing Donald Sutherland.
Me too.
He's always so good.
Do you enjoy seeing Kiefer?
Not as much.
Me either.
No. I just hate him every time he's not his father.
You're the worst Sutherland. Anyway, I'm super excited for this adaptation.
Leave me alone, Kiefer.
Oh, shit.
For those of you who aren't in the know, Leave Me Alone is a skit on SNL, so you should look it up.
I wasn't in the know until just now, and I'm so glad that I've seen it.
Next up is Evil Dead Rise, and Bruce Campbell is saying that the movie is dark and pretty serious. This does not involve him at all. It's another Evil Dead movie without Bruce Campbell or Sam Raimi in the director or acting helms. No. Although I think there's some, production credits, obviously. Like Bruce Campbell, I believe, was a producer on 2011's or 2012's, whatever it was back then, Evil Dead.
Oh, the reboot movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Raimi was too.
So this is about kind of like the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon or whatnot, being kind of passed around, and they kind of discover it in, I guess, their apartment building or their house or something. And it's a family having to deal with it, right? And so there's like brothers having to kill sisters and things like that, and it's pretty heavy. So,
and maybe parents having to kill children, possibly.
Exactly. So I don't know. It could be interesting.
And it also takes place in a city, right? So it's like Los Angeles. So, I mean, there's no telling what they could do with that kind of a storyline.
I just want to give the people what they want. We want another like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell Evil Dead movie. That's all we fucking want. But they keep giving us the opposite. I
mean, I enjoy the Evil Dead series for its comedic value, but I also really enjoyed the seriousness of the reboot. Like, I think that it was a really, really good remake movie. And I'm okay with it being serious. But yeah, I do want to see Bruce Campbell, though, like always. So, I don't know. This is going to be on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. There's no date that it's coming out yet, but it's already been completed. So,
it's about addiction.
Too serious for you? You
Maybe it was one of those early things like Hereditary or something where it's a message movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was. So finally, we have some news about the FX Alien series, and Ridley Scott says it's going to be 8 to 10 hours long.
Like a normal miniseries.
That's right.
Okay. And that's it for news. No, he's also saying that it's going to be taking place on Earth, which is kind of something we already knew as well. And it's going to be like something that instead of being trapped on it, it's going to be like the horror of the wide open space. Like you can't contain this thing. You know what I mean? And that's been a problem before that they've kind of explored in the colony and everything, kind of dealing with the aftermath of that issue in Aliens. Right. And so this is kind of like that story. I'd almost wish it was actually a series of what happened on that colony.
Oh, yeah. But, before they got there?
Ridley Scott has to keep pumping out the shitty ideas. So.
Well, and he said it's not even written yet. He says like they've written oh my God, what's it called?
A treatment. But I mean, they've written like the story treatment, but I don't even know if he's completely greenlit, signed on permanently to be an executive producer. He is in talks, as far as I know. So he's leaking privileged information from a team that he may not actually be partnering with yet. So.
And the other piece of information from that article is that they're also doing a Blade Runner series that he's sort of
they're doing that. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of tie-in or whatnot, because they might be in the Predator, Blade Runner, and Alien. They might all be in the same kind of universe. Like Ash was a robot and might have come from like the Tyrell Corporation.
Okay,
all that stuff, right? So who the fuck knows, really?
I don't know. I mean, like I would watch an Alien series just because I've seen the rest of the franchise, but I don't know if it's terrible. I'll turn it off.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, Ridley Scott's been like all out in the news recently because of his recent bomb.
The Last Duel,
which I've heard is a good movie. It's just like it wasn't really marketed well, I guess. He praised the marketing people, but he couldn't do it without like dragging the MCU through the shit,
But did he do House of Gucci?
All the MCU moves are boring as shit or whatever. It just makes you look like an asshole, man. It's like, don't shit on other people's work. Just like don't make as an excuse for your own work.
What, is he just mad because no one's asked him to direct
Old
any
curmudgeon-y.
Marvel movies?
No one wants him to.
I know. Fuck you, Ridley Scott, except for the movies we like.
Just finish the Prometheus and Covenant thing and we'll be happy.
Happy now that I like those movies.
Coming soon.
First up, we've got Silent Night, and that's an AMC Plus, I think, day and date theater release as well, or maybe just AMC Plus, but it stars Keira Knightley and Matthew Good, and it's kind of a dark comedy, right? At the end of the world, they're about to be like nuked in the morning by some sort of noxious instant death gas, I guess, by Russia or some other, party. And they're all having Christmas to get dinner together, and they're like stealing things from the store, and they're telling their kids they're going to die. And the trailer kind of ends in a really dark place, but it starts off in a really comedic place. So I'm really looking forward to this because it looks like it's going to be very unique and interesting.
Yes, I have to agree. I kind of I do like dark Christmas movies anyway. I love Christmas horror movies. And this seems very, very remotely horror adjacent, but sometimes we can lump dark comedies into that.
The end of it looks very much horror.
Oh yeah, when the gas finally shows up and shit.
Yeah.
I really am looking forward to seeing this. It's just another streaming service that I'm going to have to sign up for.
Yeah,
or just go see it in the theater, I guess.
Or maybe just rent it from Amazon or something else
Yeah.
that allows you to rent it, like HBO Max sometimes does too. Next up, speaking of horror adjacency, we've got another trailer for Netflix for this December. Called Don't Look Up. And this is starring Leo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep, of all people, and a billion others.
Yeah, at all, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just everybody.
Kate
Blanchett's in this. Fucking Ariana Grande. I mean, please.
Yeah.
I have been people have been talking about this movie for months and months and months, most of the year now. And it's been on lots of people's Oscar shortlist. Obviously, with a cast like that, it's going to enter that conversation.
Yeah.
But I have heard only good things about this movie, and I'm very, very excited to watch it.
I believe this was also the movie that was being filmed while I was in Boston.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was. So, yeah, I think probably, depending on how horror adjacency Don't Look Up is, I'm sure it's not. It just looks like a really good movie about the end of the world, but I'm sure that we'll be talking about Silent Night and Don't Look Up on our year-end review. Mm-hmm. They'll probably make it in there somewhere.
Probably. Next
up is a trailer for a Australian film called Wormwood Apocalypse.
Right. This is out in theaters on February 10th of next year, so the beginning of the year. But it's already kind of being hailed as Mad Max meets Dawn of the Dead, and it's been picked up. It already picked up an audience award at the 2021 Sydney Film Festival for Best Feature Film. Now, this is kind of a pseudo sequel or direct sequel to Wormwood, which was came out almost a decade ago, I think, and it has a high critical score but a low audience score. Which I'd never really heard of, but this is getting rave reviews in comparison. So I don't know. I don't know if you have to have seen the first one or not, but it looks really, really fun based on the trailer.
It does look like a lot of fun. It seems like there's a lot of action, right? And sort of zombie. A lot of gore. Yeah, lots of gore, lots of zombie-esque stuff going on. And yeah, it seems like something that I would enjoy. And now I'm kind of curious to go see this other movie too. So maybe I'll have to watch that one first before we do Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Finally, not quite a trailer, but the people behind Jurassic World Dominion have released what they're calling the prologue.
Right. So this is an original 5-minute prologue to Jurassic World Domination coming out next summer, directed by Colin Trevorrow, who did Jurassic World, I guess, the first one in the new series, which is sending us back 65 million years to the past to experience the world before humans existed. It looks like a Discovery Channel animation, really, is what it looks like to me. And then we kind of flip into the future where we kind of see the original the original T-Rex that was copied by the mosquito or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we see it zoomed into the kind of a primeval forest 65 million years later, and it's kind of loose and it's going through people Twister style at a outdoor movie theater. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that all that effects is done now. So long before the movie's actually out, but this is a movie release they might have actually been holding close to the chest for 6 months or a year, and would explain why everything's done.
Well, I think they had intended to start filming this movie pre-pandemic and then started filming maybe toward the end of the pandemic, right? Well, we're still in the pandemic, but at any rate, and we know from the last Jurassic World movie that the T-Rex made it to land again, right? Which already happened once.
Weird.
In the movies, right? But I'm just a fucking sucker for Jurassic Park movies in general. I don't care. I love Jurassic World. I thought it was great. So I'm looking forward to this. And just watching a T-Rex like tear through people.
Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah.
You know?
I think some are better than all right, but it's okay.
The new ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can be like, I don't mind being, I don't mind having an unpopular opinion. I just think they're fun.
No, it's probably not unpopular. They keep making them for $100 million a piece.
I'm not sure they make a lot of money, but...
Oh, I'm sure they do if they keep making them for $100 million a piece. It's a huge franchise, and all the kids want to see them because they're big dinosaurs, you know?
And honestly, at the first part of this prologue, when it was showing all those dinosaurs, I thought it was just like when they had to leave Jurassic World, like dinosaurs roaming about on their own, like naturally today, and then it's like 65 million years later or whatever.
It's just literally like you expect like Steve Irwin to be like, right, there's a T-Rex.
Slow down, Sheila.
Over there by the Barbie.
I don't know. Maybe it's the one thing that's left in this world that fills me with a childlike wonder. You know what I mean? As some sort of fake dinosaur. But hey, that's okay. Bring on Jurassic World.
Littlefoot?
That movie makes me cry too. I don't even want to think about that movie. I think that just about wraps up our Shooting the Flames conversation for December and 2021. So we have a lot more coming out for you this month. We are talking about Gremlins.
And Gremlins 2.
Finally. So my favorite Christmas movie of all time.
And over on Patreon, we're, I think, giving another poll.
Yep, I think so. So like we said earlier, head over to Patreon and check us out. Vote in that poll.
That's right.
We always appreciate all the comments and questions. You can find us on social media to leave those comments and questions at The Film Flamers on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram.
You can email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com or call our hotline at 972-666-7733. Don't leave us alone.
Make our evil dead rise.
Make me a great migration.
Totes. Oh my god. It's like my favorite part of recording now. Well, Chris, it's time for us to go off and have a silent night.
A deadly night.
Let's have some
sweet dreams.
Repossessed. Get on out at the door. Call me by your dream name.